All right, welcome back to the Coach Mack Show. Coach, Thanksgiving week last week, we took the week off for the holidays and everything. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
I had a terrible Thanksgiving. I was hoping we'd be out here practicing football, getting ready for another game, but at Charlton County, we seem to get used to Thanksgiving week where we get to go out and practice football every day in the mornings, and then Thanksgiving morning, where that tradition of coming out here in the morning and having practice, having a walk through and sending everybody home for Thanksgiving and getting together the next day to play a football game. We didn't have that this year, and it, of course, it was disappointing that it didn't happen. And so sitting around all week wondering what to do with yourself when you planned on practicing football wasn't much fun. But now we start changing our attention to the off season. So then moving on from that.
I know I ate entirely too much. I think we hit about 3 different reunions over the holidays. So had a good time, a lot of turkey and dressing. All right, let's dive into the Commerce game, Coach. The last game of the season there, obviously we wanted to go further. But in the second half, the first half was close. The second half, the offense scored on every single possession but one, I believe.
First half was a big key to the thing. We really did nothing first half. Offensively, we went out and it seemed like we just either turned the ball over on downs or had to punt. We just didn't have anything going on offense in the first half. We came away with no points. The defense also in the first half seemed like they were just on the field too long. We gave up a touchdown and a field goal, and really came in at halftime feeling like that we haven't even done anything yet. We hadn't even played yet. And then went out the second half, and like you said, defensively, we still had our struggles the second half. Offensively, we got some things going, especially through the air, throwing the football around. But look at the stats. The stats could really tell you a lot of things. At Charlton County, we feel like that we need to be able to run the football like anybody. There's very few teams that are in the playoffs, or very few teams in high school football that really say, we're not worried about rushing stats. Yeah, we want to be able to run the football. We ran the football 22 times for only 77 yards. And that was really, we need to have that more. That needed to be better for us to be successful. Now, Commerce running the ball, they ran the ball 49 times for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is just way too much yardage in a playoff game in that situation. But again, passing, we were pleased with the passing game. We threw the ball 29 times, completed 19 of them for 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jimmy Nettles in his last game as a Charlton County Indian did a great job throwing the football. But again, we had to throw the football, and that's not really the situation we wanted to be in Friday, is where we felt like we had to throw the football to be successful. We want to be able to to be somewhat balanced, to be able to do both well, and really the only thing we did well was throw the football, and we didn't run the ball well, and we actually had more attempts in the passing game than we did the running game. Commerce only threw the ball 9 times, but they had 123 yards and a touchdown, which, again, all year long, we kept talking about, we work on in practice, our coaching meetings, we talk a lot about what it is we need to do is to shore up our secondary, and all year long we really weren't very good in the secondary, and we need to get better back there. So again, those 2 stats right there, our inability to run the ball and their ability to run it and throw it really kind of was a difference in the ball game. Penalty-wise, we were fantastic. Of course, in the playoffs, you have great officials in the playoffs. We only had 4 penalties for 40 yards. We had more first downs than they had. We had 18 first downs for their 15 first downs. So stats, it shows a close game, which on the scoreboard it was a close game. It was a 2-point game. Really felt like we had a chance at the end of the game. We took the lead, and then we had to stop them. And that was the big difference in the game. Was it came to a point where we had to stop Commerce, and we couldn't do it. They ran right down and got a touchdown on us, and then we got in a situation where we had to use our timeouts to make a punt. That worked. We got them in a punting situation, a chance to get the ball back at the end of the game. And I told Raekwon, great punt returner, I told Raekwon, do anything you can to get your hands on the ball. We cannot have a long field. We don't have enough timeouts. We've got to have a great return. And he did exactly what we wanted to do, and that was do anything he could to get the ball. And the problem is not the fact that we didn't field the ball cleanly. The problem was we had a chance to put up great protection for him, and one of our guys let a guy run free right down the middle of the field, and we had an opportunity to block him, but we just chose not to for some reason. So that was not a good situation for us. But again, Raekwon did everything he could to make a play. That's what we need him to do, and it didn't work out. So it really felt bad after the game, felt bad for the seniors, and felt bad we missed an opportunity. I felt like we had an opportunity to win that game. Again, the first half, not doing a lot, not making the plays when we really had to make the plays on both sides of the football. That was the big key in this game, but you gotta really take your hat off to Commerce. They drove 300 miles one way and got off the bus and played a football game, played great, turned around the next week and won again, and they're playing again this week for a chance to go to the Dome. So obviously a good football team, Commerce was, and they're very well coached. Coach Brown did a great job. They got great football players. Now, the thing you hear about Commerce, them not being athletic, that's not right. They're athletic. They got plenty of good athleticism on that football team. They can run, and they're very strong. Great job in the weight room. But again, I think we had an opportunity, and it just came up short.
All right, Coach. I know first half it seemed like just a total, it was an old school defensive football game, and it looked like two different football games entirely in the second. Jimmy got hot. He had a good second half.
He really did, and our halftime adjustment was really to basically let's identify from the first half the things that are the opportunities we have for the second half. So you look at your play sheet for the second half and you say, these are the few plays that we feel great about, we feel real strong about. These we don't feel good about, so we basically just scribble them off of our play sheet. And we explained to Jimmy, we explained to the offense, listen, this is what we're focused on the second half. These are the things that will work. And we went out second half, and again, they worked well. We just, again, came up short, 2 points. A chance to, really, I feel like to win a football game, but just didn't work out.
Did you have a target there? If we had gotten that punt and return there at the end, did you have a target goal line for Tomcat to go out there and try to kick the winning field goal, or were you going for 6 at that point?
No, we felt like that we feel like that Tomcat is an all-state kicker. I feel like he's a kid that has a chance to be a college prospect as a kicker. He does a great job. He shows us every day in practice that he can do it. He hasn't had his best year this year. Of course, he fought an injury off. He had a hip and a groin injury all throughout the season early on and got better as the season went on. You saw his kicking improve throughout the season. What our thinking was, we had to take our timeouts. We had to burn our timeouts to get the ball back. That worked out. The defense stopped them. And so we had got them in a punting situation. We had a setup to where we thought Eric Daniels could come off the edge and go behind that personal protector wall that they had and get a block in. And he really came within 6 to 8 inches of blocking the punt. If we could have blocked the punt right there, I think we could have scooped it and probably scored from there, which would have been the game winner. But also we had the rest of the defense set up for return. And you look at it on film, if he could have got the ball, there was some room to our sideline. He could have took it up our sideline for a really good return. And I believe that return, if nothing else, could have got us close to midfield. And then we felt like, just talking today, we felt like we had a series of plays that we could have worked the sidelines and got a few more yards. Of course, we had, I think it was well over 30 seconds, and throwing the ball on the routes we were going to throw it to, 30 seconds is fine. We could have drove down a little bit further. But I was thinking, and that's why we went for 2. Well, we lined up to kick the extra point.
I love that 2-point conversion.
We did a 2-point conversion out of our PAT look, and we were successful. We knew that was going to be there, and we did it then to really get it within a 2-point game. So a field goal was going to win the game. Yeah. I felt like if we could have got the ball to at least the 30-yard line, that we had a chance. Really, I would trust Thomas of kicking a field goal anywhere from 40 yards in. I feel like he can make it. Right. Now we have seen him kick 40 plus before a year ago up at Mercer, and I really think that he could have been successful from anywhere in the 40s. So that's what we were thinking, is get it that far. We think we could have got it that far. Plus the other option was we felt like we had something really going in the passing game, to where if we felt like we weren't going to get that far, we had some stuff. Basically, you saw how we were able to get the ball to AJ. We got the ball to AJ 6 times, used his height to his advantage, and plus we had some stuff we felt like we had in the second half, and we really connected with it, was some inside seam stuff to Raekwon. And you saw he had 7 catches for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we felt like we had those 2 things set up for us with those inside receivers, that if we felt like we weren't going to get the yardage needed for the field goal, that we could have hit those guys vertical. Either one of those guys vertical, put the free safety in a bind, and pick the one or the other, depending on which way the free safety bit, for a touchdown. So we felt good about getting the ball back. I really felt like if we could have got the ball back, we had a good shot to win the football game. But again, credit goes to Commerce. Not going to make excuses. They were the better football team. That's why you play, is to find out who the better team is, and Commerce was the better team, and they got to advance.
And even with all that planning going sideline to sideline, Raekwon by himself 95% of the time was a huge scoring threat back there on the punt return anyway. So, I mean, we could have very easily have scored right there as well.
Yeah, there's nobody I've seen this year that I'd rather see return a punt for a potential score than Raekwon. We're going to talk about the all-region team in a minute, and I know that, everybody in the region felt the same way about Raekwon, that he is the most dangerous punt and kick returner in our region, and I think probably the most dangerous punt and kick returner in our classification, and he has a chance to be a great one there. So again, it's just it's been hard to live with for me over this past week, and knowing that I felt like we were good enough to get the job done. I thought we were prepared, and I felt like it was just a poor first half on our part offensively, and second half we just didn't get the stops we needed defensively. We had them down. They scored 21 points in the second half, and you look at us this year, we haven't given up 21 points in the second half to a lot of people this year, so I was disappointed with that.
I kept thinking Commerce would fumble, turn the interception, something, but they come out of the game with no turnovers.
Well, they're a smart football team. What smart football teams do is they block well and they take care of the football. And Commerce was a smart football team, and they done those 2 things: took care of the football and they blocked well, and that's what you got to do right there to be successful, and they were successful.
All right, Coach. You have anything else on Commerce before we move on to the next item?
No.
All right. That's playoffs. I logged on the other night. I wanted to watch the Irwin game. It wasn't up. I don't know what happened with their webcast, but I couldn't watch it. So I was trying to keep up. You know how you do. Keep up with the feeds. Johnson and Clinch. Clinch put 50 on Johnson. I think they had a 489 yards is what I read somewhere they had rushing. And Commerce for a long time had Marion, I believe it was 17-0 for a long time in that game Friday night.
That's one of the things that's disappointing when you're sitting at the house watching TV all week, and you're thinking about this sort of stuff. You look at Clinch County. Clinch County is a semifinalist team, great football team, but yet we played them. We lost to them by 7 points and had 2 touchdowns called back. Commerce, you lose to them by 2 points, and they're in the semifinals. You got Irwin, who you beat by 14 possibly. You beat Irwin. So 3 of the 4 teams in the semifinals, you were within a touchdown, 2 points, or you beat by a couple touchdowns. So here you're saying, well, what about if we've been able to take care of business here, we could be sitting in the situation as one of these.
I think what a total of 10 points separates us from Clinch and Commerce.
Exactly, and so that's difficult to sit here and look at. But again, I personally, I don't think it's good to predict. We've played 3 of these teams. I think all 3 of them are really. We haven't played ECI. Really know nothing about ECI other than they've had good tradition and good history. And I know the ECI, I've heard throughout the year how good they were. And I've heard people say, don't be surprised if you see ECI at the very end holding the trophy. So, again, they're in the semis, so very well could be. Know a lot about Clinch, know a lot about Commerce, and know a lot about Irwin. I guess I'd like to see it be an all-Region 2A state final. And who wins over Clinch and Irwin, ain't going to get into that, because I have a lot of respect for both of them, and they're both fierce competitors of ours, and so may the best team win. But I would like to see an all 2A region final in the Dome, and I think there's a good chance of it happening. Really do.
Yeah. Commerce has had a lot of. They're doing this year what we did last or 2 years ago with the bus rides. I saw one of them say they're going to take out a splosh fund to pay for all their diesel they're burning up.
Well, that's right. You know, I told their coach afterwards. I told the coach from Commerce. I said, I think you guys have a chance to do what we did 2 years ago, and that was to take every road game as far as you can go, all the way to Commerce, to Seminole. Got a break by going to Irwin and then had to go to the Dome in Atlanta. But I told them they have a chance to do the same sort of thing and do it on the road. Actually, playing on the road is not all bad. There's some good things about playing on the road as far as focus, and obviously Commerce is doing a great job with it.
All right. Let's dive into the review of the season and the all-region team. Coach, what did you think of the season overall? As obviously playoffs again for the 26th straight year. A little disappointing because we didn't get to move on in the playoffs, but still a great season from a young team.
You know, yeah, our team was young in some respects, but yeah, again, we had a lot of seniors that you know, a lot of senior people on our team, a lot of senior football players who contributed an awful lot to this season. If you told us at the beginning of the season that we would have 7 wins and we would be in the playoffs, you know, again, I would say that would be really good because I knew we had a long way to go on some positions on our football team. And, you know, so glad that we got better, glad that we made the playoffs, you know, disappointed that maybe we didn't finish the job against Clinch County, disappointed that we didn't do better in the playoffs. But again, it was a lot of exciting football. And really proud of especially our senior three defensive linemen we had. Those guys were tremendous. Tion Burrows, Toby Dasher, Omar Lewis. Those 3 guys were just incredible. 3 of some of the best defensive linemen I've had here at Charlton County High School, and all 3 of them were unfortunately seniors. So we're going to miss those guys. They're going to leave a huge void right there. And then also Jimmy Nettles, you know, he had an injury earlier in the year, bounced right back and kept fighting through the injury and so forth. And again, you know, those guys, those seniors really stepped up along with Isaac Gillis. I mean, he's a kid that really, you know, worked hard all year long and was able to help us in some key situations. So again, disappointed we didn't have few more games, but again, it wasn't a bad season overall. And these day and times, I mean, look in Athens, you can go, you can win 8 or 9 football games and get fired now. So things have changed. It's always it used to be good that you look back at a season, and, hey, you won 7 games, you made the playoffs, good year. But it seems like now you're almost a complete failure unless you win it all. So there's only going to be one team this year that's going to be a successful season, I guess, and that's the state champions. But again, already first day of school back from Thanksgiving, kind of focuses going on to the next year. But our all-region team did come out, and
we're getting the all-region team.
Yeah, all-region team. Really happy that our all-region defensive players of the year was Tion Burrows and Michael Dasher unanimously voted. To make the all-region team is difficult. We have a great region, which is obvious. We had 5 teams in the 5 teams in the state playoffs out of our region. And we have a lot of good young talent coming back. If you get a chance to take a look at the all-region team, you'll see that there's a lot of good young players coming back in our region. And but again, Region 2A Defensive Players of the Year, Tion Burrows and Toby Dasher, 2 of our defensive linemen. Special Team Player of the Year was Raekwon Anderson, a freshman for us. And then on first team all-region was Raekwon at wide receiver and also A.J. Bell at wide receiver. And also we have an offensive lineman make it, and that was Andrew Chesser. Real proud of the job Andrew did this year. He was the real bright spot on our offensive line. As far as defense, we had 1 guy make it on the defense. I thought we had we had 2 guys on defense make it. We had defensive lineman Omar Lewis, so all 3 of our defensive linemen made either Player of the Year or First Team All-Region. And then Brantley Sloan. Brantley Sloan was our leading tackler this year. Bryant Sloan, not Brantley. Brantley's his brother. Bryant Sloan was our leading tackler this year with 71 tackles. He made First Team All-Region, and he'll be back for his senior year next year. Also, Thomas Johnson made first team all-region kicker. As far as region freshman of the year, Raquan Anderson got that for Charlton County. Each team gets some guys on there, and I believe 2 of the finest freshman football players in the state was in our region. That was Raquan for us, and that was the Marshall, number 7 Marshall for Clinch County was a freshman. I think that you're going to see those 2 guys have some great battles and get a lot of notoriety throughout these next 3 years. Academic team, we had, I'll mention them real quick, but this is just for juniors and seniors. Isaac Gillis, Andrew Chesser, Tyree Gibson, Caleb Hodges, Bryant Sloan, Dalton Mazzell, Dakota Quarles, Dustin Shepard, Thomas Johnson, and Gage Lee. All those guys are over 3.0 students. These are the junior seniors. Now, we have some other kids that are good students, but we only kind of reserve this for the junior seniors, not the freshmen, sophomores on this. We had the most kids, I believe, made. Maybe us and Turner had the most kids on their academic all-region team. Second team offense was Andrew Lee at running back. Nobody on second team defense made it. And again, we had quite a few honorable mentions make it for that. So those guys that made first team all-region, congratulations to those guys. And most of those guys are all seniors, except for 3 of them. We have the inside linebacker, Sloan, back, and we have Raquan back, and we have AJ back. Of course, AJ was first team all-region wide receiver. Next year he'll be our quarterback. So again, we've got to find we got a lot of holes to fill for next year.
All right, Coach. We're going to take a short break since we're getting into next season with what we have for coming back in the off season, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Be right back. All right. Welcome back to the Coach Mack Show. This is the point, Coach, where we look ahead we'll look back a little bit on who's graduating, who's leaving, and also on who we have coming back. And I don't have last year's list in front of me, but this looks a lot thinner than last year's list to me.
Well, it is, and it's in some key positions. Looking at the returning starters, today we had our team meeting, and I gave all of our kids a sheet with the returning starters just so they can visually see how many open spots we have. And telling our returning starters, just because you're a returning starter is no guarantee you'll be starting, but I wanted our kids to know that when we get ready to play football next year, we're going to have to put on the field 11 guys. And right now, if we don't have 11 starters returning, on offense we have 5 returning on offense, and one of those is going to be in a different position. So on offense, we feel like AJ is going to do a great job at quarterback. He's ready to step right on in. We lost our running back, but we feel like we have a couple good candidates at running back. So to be honest with you, people would be concerned if you saw that you needed, hey, you're losing your quarterback and your running back, that would be a gigantic concern. To be honest with you, it's really not for me, because I know AJ will do a great job at quarterback. Looking forward to him taking that position. And I know that Eric Daniels and also Israel Gilliard and also Michael Elliott, there's 3 kids right there I think that will do a great job at running back. So I think we're pretty good at quarterback and running back. So those positions will be fine. The positions I'm worried about are, of course, offensive line, wide receiver. We rely heavily on the wide receivers. And at wide receiver, really, with AJ going to quarterback, we only have 2 wide receivers coming back, and we usually play with 4 wide receivers at all time. And so we're looking right now with Raquan Anderson coming back, which is huge, and Ethan Saul's coming back at wide receivers. Ethan will be a senior next year. And again, we're going to be looking for 2 wide receivers. Offensive line, of the 5 positions, we only have 2 returning. One's was a freshman this year, Bryce Manning. Bryce started every game, but I think 2. And when he wasn't starting, we had another freshman started, Ricky Blaylock. So hopefully, Ricky Blaylock showed us some things. Hopefully he'll be a starter. And then our center's coming back, Aaron Brazil. So again, we're looking for offensive linemen. I feel like we've been looking for offensive linemen around here for the last couple of years. But again, I feel like that the receiver position, we've got to find those. And the thing I like about AJ is AJ's not shy about asking kids to go out and throw with him. So I told AJ, when he's banged up right now, when he's not so banged up, maybe after Christmas, I said, when we get through Christmas holidays here, you and I will get together and we're going to get the phone numbers of all these potential wide receivers. And knowing AJ like I do, and you, of course, you know AJ a little bit, and I'm sure he's going to want to go out here on this practice field about every day and throw the football with these kids. Yeah. And I'm sure AJ understands the importance of having plenty of good wide receivers, and I imagine for now I'm going to leave it up to him to go find some for me. So he can go out there and find me some wide receivers, bring me some to me. And then offensive line, that's going to be a weight room thing. We've got to find some guys that are really willing to work hard, get strong in the weight room, and compete in the weight room. And that's where you're going to find those offensive linemen. So offensively, I don't feel too concerned other than the wide receiver spot. Now defensively, huge concerns. At Charlton County High School, we have been blessed here in the last 26 years I've been head coach to having good defensive linemen. We've always managed to find those big kids that can run. And we're losing we play with a 3 down lineman front. Not always. We've played before in the past, but right now we've got 3. And we lost all 3 of them, and all 3 of them were outstanding. Yeah. So we need a nose guard. That's why our defense is based around to having that dominant nose guard. We think a young guy like Lance Carter or Eric Milton could step in and play there. Defensive tackles, Cribb, number 71 or 70. We think Cribb has a chance to possibly play there, and we're going to need some defensive linemen. That's going to be the big thing. We need strong kids that can run. Again, that's going to come down to weight room. It's going to come down to track. Right. This year we are determined to have a great track program this year. And I told all the kids, if you play baseball, that's great. Play baseball. I ain't going to mess with you. If you're a legitimate tennis player, and we do have a couple guys that can play some good tennis, and if you're a legitimate golfer, that's fine. We do have some kids that can play golf. But for the rest of you, congratulations, you just made the track team. We're going to have the rest of the coaching staff out there for track. All the coaches are going to be out there, and we're going to get our kids to where they can run well, change direction, and we're going to find some of these guys in our track program also. Yeah. And not only that, I told our coaches, I said, we get all these guys out running track, we can mess around and have a really good track program, and even have a chance to compete at the state level at track if we get these kids out and they do what they say they'll do out for track for us. At the linebacker position, we usually play with 5 linebackers in one way or another. At the linebacker position, all-region linebacker, Bryant Sloan, going to be a senior this next year. Great player. I think he has a chance to be a college prospect. He's a straight A student, which always helps. A big, great weight room kid, and he came out of the game Friday with a cracked bone in his wrist, but he'll be fine. He's not supposed to do a lot in the weight room, but he managed to figure out all these different things you can do in the weight room without using your hand today. So he wasn't going to be denied. He was going to get his workout in irregardless. Israel Gilliard, who I thought got better throughout the year, he's one of our guys that we've talked about as maybe our most improved player. Israel Gilliard. Edward Mincy, he's a great kid, and I think he's going to be a good returner. All 3 of those guys are returning linebackers, and all 3 of them are really good linebackers. Now in the secondary, Eric Daniels, he's kind of a linebacker / safety guy. He can play both ways on that. Demondre Blackshear, freshman. Demondre is back at defensive back. And, of course, AJ, and talking with AJ, and AJ really brought it up to me saying, just because I'm quarterback don't mean I can't be a safety. And I said, you're exactly right, because Champ Bailey played both ways. Ronald Bailey played both. I've had my quarterbacks, Bama Adams and Chris Davis, all those guys were also quarterback / free safety. You can do both, and he's a guy that he's a 6'3" kid. He's too much of a we think a good talent for us to have on the sidelines half the game. So he's going to have to go help us some at free safety also, and we need some guys to step up. Our kicking game is all back. Thomas Tomcat Johnson is back as a kicker, and he's also turned into a pretty good punter. And also Bryant Sloan, he's back as a punter. Our long snappers are back. Our kick returns back. So our whole kicking game's intact, which we're good about that. That started off the year not being a real strength, but by the end of the year it was a pretty good strength for us, was our kicking game. So we've got to find some football players. We really do. And we need some guys that need to step up, and talking to them in the room in there, I say, Charlton County doesn't get any move-ins, really. And we don't recruit, of course, nowhere to recruit from around here. I said, these positions are going to have to be filled by you guys. And we've got, in my opinion, one of the best weight rooms in the state of Georgia, over here at the high school. We give you 90 minutes a day to work out in there, plus we'll be in there after school every day until basketball starts or till whatever you're practicing that day. I'll be in the weight room every day. We've got track out here. We've got one of the greatest track facilities in single A and high school. There's no excuse for you not to get better. If you don't get better, it's because you made a decision not to get better. So we need some guys to really step up and get into this and hopefully get better in the off season, and through strength training and nutrition and then track and so forth. We hope to be as good, if not better. That's our goal. There's no reason for us to sit here and say that, well, I just hope we're just as good, or we may not be as good. My goal for this football team is to be better next year, to win more football games next year than we did this year, and to win, well, all the games we play. Every game we play every week, my goal is for us to win it. And we're going to push these kids, and I'm going to rely on myself, the coaching staff, and these older kids to provide some leadership to get these younger guys going, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to win more football games than we did this year.
I know during the season this year, the secondary took a little bit of heat, but coming into next season, these kids, this young group, has got a lot of experience now. They got a year under their belt. They know about what more to look for next year as the season progresses.
Well, defensively this year, our concern was just the secondary, and this year it's going to be the defensive line and the secondary still. Yeah. Secondary, we've got to get better, and I think through our track program, we can get better in the secondary. We need some guys to really step up back there and get some maturity to them and just become better football players in the secondary. If we don't get better in the secondary, you can't allow a Commerce who runs the football 90% of the time throw for 125 yards against you. That's incredible. I mean, these guys haven't thrown for over 100 yards ever in Commerce history. They had their best passing night against us out here, and that shows you how much we struggled in the secondary. We got to get better back there. The kids we had playing back there gave us everything they got, and this isn't a knock against them. I appreciate those guys, love those guys, and Coach Pender worked them hard and got them as good as we can get them. We got to play better back there. That's the bottom line. But biggest focus during the off season, we talked about that, but we've got to find some defensive linemen, and I feel like those defensive linemen are going to come from Tyler Cribb, Eric Milton, Malik Alderman, Lance Carter, looking around here in the locker room at different guys. We need those guys to really step up and grow up and ready to play some defensive line for us, and hopefully that's going to happen, and hopefully we'll be okay there.
Down here on the special teams list, Coach, Tomcat Johnson, I understand the Florida Gators need a kicker bad. Have they come up here to try to steal our kicker yet?
Well, I watched. I guess they do need a kicker, don't they? And but no, I think another great year in the weight room and another year out here on these fields practicing. I think Thomas Johnson has the chance to be a college prospect kicker. He's got to get a little bit more length to him. He's got to be able to get to where he can kick the ball in the end zone. He's got to be able to we got to be able to send him out on 40-yard field goals and him get them. And to be a college prospect kicker, you knock through 40-yarders regularly, and you kick the ball in the end zone regularly. And this is going to be a big off season for him to get that leg strength even more than what it was. I know we did some heights and weights today in the weight room just to kind of see where people at after the season. And he's a 6-foot kid, and he weighs 180 pounds. Now, that's a good-sized kid. And I think that he can even get more size, more strength, and get to where he can get the ball in the end zone. That's where we really need it to be.
All right. Well, Coach, moving on, off season, I know kids have already started. I mean, literally off season literally starts the day after last game. You know, AJ and several of the kids have started on the diets and weightlifting already. It starts right now.
It really does. It's, you know, people talk about off season. Off season is a season. It just happens to be where we're not playing football. But I, you know, I'm a guy that, you know, I love Charlton County and Charlton County athletics, and I've been here longer than I've been anywhere else in my life, and I've only been 2 places, and that's from where I'm from and here. And I want our basketball team to do great. I want our wrestling team to do great. I want all these other sports to do real well. But I think that you can be great at other sports and still have a great weight program going year-round. And I think that the strength program does not take away from basketball. It doesn't take away from wrestling. Actually, I think that if you continue to get stronger through your season, you end up becoming even a better basketball player towards the end, and wrestler also. And definitely in the spring, we need to get our guys strong throughout spring, and they need to be involved in a spring sport. It's a must. You're going to play football at Charlton County High School. You're going to be involved in a spring sport. I'm a little different than some coaches. You see a lot of your coaches nowadays, they want everything specialized. They want all your kids to be in one sport, concentrating on one sport. I don't believe in that. I don't believe a high school kid should do that. I believe a high school kid, if he can help the basketball team win, he needs to play basketball also. And even if he can't help the basketball team win, I'd like for him to be involved because of the discipline, the structure, and the competition that those sports bring. I want our athletes involved in 3 sports. And that's something that I always push, and I want our baseball team to win the state championship. I want our golf team to win it. Everybody that involved in sports, I want us to be the best, and that's always been my view of Charlton County athletics, and even Charlton County as a community. I've always, since I've been here, I always ask, I ask people, I said, why can't we be the best? Why can't we be the best school in the state and not use our lack of size or lack of anything as an excuse? My idea is, why can't we be the best? And we need to do everything we can, to be the best and use this off season and hopefully come out in 2016 and have a great year.
All right, Coach. After the off season, obviously the schedule. Before we get into our schedule, are we doing the All-Star game here again this year? Do we know?
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be on the 14th of February, Saturday the 14th of February. I believe it's usually around 2 o'clock. The Georgia-Florida All-Star game will be out here again. I've been, I don't know if you would say lucky or whatever, but I've been given the opportunity to be the head coach of that thing again. And I think it turns into being almost another job for me. I think that's why I get it. This will be my 5th year in a row being the head coach of that thing. But it's a lot of fun to give kids the opportunity, and it's a lot of fun to show off our facility. Last year, I believe 2 years ago was the first year we were in here, I believe it was, and those all-star kids, these kids from all over South Georgia come into our locker room, and these coaches come into our locker room, they look around, they think it's just amazing that little Charlton County has a great locker room. I mean, people from Clinch County and Glenn Academy and all these other places, Camden County, they come in here and they look around, they say, man, this is the best high school facility we've seen. And that's a real, and the credit goes to our community and our Board of Education and Dr. Laracy for letting us have this. And then our field and our stadium's in great shape, and again, that's because of our community and our Board of Education and Dr. Laracy that we have a facility like this. So we get an opportunity to show it off again, and that's going to be Saturday, February the 24th. Right here, we'll take on Florida again. I think we beat them last year. I think we beat them the last couple of years. Last year, we beat them on a last-second field goal. Exciting game. I mean, Super Bowl's probably going to be over, I think, and everybody hasn't seen high school football for a while. I'll tell you, if you're hungry for some football, you need to come out here to the Swamp and watch some really, really good high school football players. Every year I look at these teams we put together, and I say, wouldn't it be great to coach this team all year long? And you wouldn't be afraid to take on anybody in the state with that group. So a lot of talent. Really look forward to hosting that again.
Well, if the Board of people don't mind, we'd like to webcast that game again as well.
I'm sure
if that works out for everybody. I love doing that ball game. It's a lot of fun.
Yep, Mike Gammon is in charge of that thing, and Mike does a great job promoting it. And again, it's also a nice fundraiser for our rec department. They open up the concession stand, and they have a really great day down there, which is great. Anytime we can help the rec program, that's also good.
All right, Coach. Now diving into our schedule and the big talk, but seems like in the back burner all season long is reclassification. I think they've got some things finalized finally.
Yeah, the reclassification for a while was a bigger story than the playoffs, I think, here a couple weeks ago. Reclassification is pretty much done. Everybody's in their classification. We're in single A. We've had a few teams drop into single A from double A, and they're good football teams. Macon County out of Montezuma has dropped in. That's Macon with an M, not Bacon, but Macon. They're a great playoff team in double A. Manchester, team we've played the last couple of years, they've dropped into single A. And along with a couple of private schools have dropped into single A. We've been able to hold our region together today as we speak. Probably tomorrow night, it'll come out with what classification everybody will be in. I know that's being taken care of today and tomorrow. Probably tomorrow night, Tuesday night, it'll come out. And our region will probably remain the same. And our region schedule will probably remain the same. We'll just, instead of us going to Homerville, Clinch County comes here. It's just the home and away is going to switch. But I'm kind of glad of that. I think we have a good region schedule, and that big game with us in Clinch towards the end, that's always a lot of fun. So that's going to stay the same. Now the here's going to be a couple, and here's something that a lot of people don't know, and the kids didn't know till the day I just told them. We're not going to do spring football. And the reason we're not going to do spring football, and a lot of people are starting to do this, if you look at the school calendar, we graduated a week earlier this year. Okay, so that's one less week. And plus state track is the week before that. So if you look at the calendar, there's no room for us to put in spring football. So what we're going to do is Fitzgerald also is not doing spring football, which means we get one more scrimmage. So we get to do another scrimmage game. So us and Fitzgerald will scrimmage the week before we usually scrimmage Pierce County. So our schedule will look like us going to Fitzgerald for a scrimmage, then us coming home for another scrimmage against Pierce County. And then I think that our first game of the season will be against Brantley County. And then we have 2 games in there we got to find.
Oh, okay.
And hoping one of those games is going to be Bacon County, and then now we got to look for another one. And we've been talking to a lot of different folks, and I'm hoping to find somebody reasonable so we don't have to play one of these big schools around us. And I don't want to do that, but if we got to find somebody in there, and that's been a big job right now.
Call up my alma mater down there in Baldwin.
Yeah, they're pretty good now. So I don't know who we're gonna find for that game, but we're looking for that again. And this is why the weight room, and this is why track is going to be so important, is because those 10 days of spring football we're going to lose this year. Since we're not doing spring. We're going to make that up during track season by just working in track. And I'm disappointed. I hate the fact that we can't have spring football. But again, if you look at the school calendar, it just doesn't work out till we can get those 10 days in. And I'm not going to have spring football over baseball season. I mean, that's just not fair to baseball. That's not fair to the kids that want to do both. So what I really feel is going to be the best thing for us is to have a strong track program this year, and us to have one more scrimmage in August, and for us instead of doing spring football. So I'm going to hate it, but that's kind of where it falls, and that's kind of what we got to do.
All right, Coach. We got schedule and reclassification. Got everything you want on that. Any final thoughts as we close out the year?
Well, I just appreciate you and Tammy and what you guys do, your loyalty to the program, and appreciate your coverage. And I know, I know that this show is a lot of fun to do, and I know there's some people out there that enjoy watching it, and I know a lot of our opponents watch it, so I'm glad we've been entertaining to them also. I'll have some coaches call me and make fun of me about it sometimes, but anyway, it's been a lot of fun to do, and what I just really encourage people is to go out and support our other teams, support our basketball teams, baseball teams, track, wrestling's coming up, wrestling and basketball, to go out and support them, and also really need some people to step up and support the quarterback club. We're still paying off these lockers. The quarterback club was had to buy these lockers for us, and we're still paying it off. And if anybody would like to sponsor one of these lockers, they're $200, and you get a plate in there. Maybe sometime you can put it on your website.
Excuse me 1 second. Tammy, pan the camera around in here while he's talking about everything. So I don't think anybody's ever seen it outside of, the usual guests and all.
Yeah, and, these lockers can be sponsored for $200, and you'll get a plate. We'll put a plate in there forever with anything you want on it. And if you ever get a chance to put some of these on your website, and you can see, a lot of people will customize them, put former alumni on it or whatever, or even just family members on it. So, again, it's we need some help with that, and there's other things we want to do this winter with the weight room and other things that the quarterback club steps in and helps us take care of. So really encourage people to contact Brian Hewling and be involved in the quarterback club, if you would. And our fall awards program will be at the end of January. We'll let everybody know on that also. I appreciate everything you guys have done.
The quarterback club with Mr. Chesser and Brian Hewling and all of them, they do a fantastic job with support of the football team. And just athletics in general, the Charlton County Dugout Club over on the baseball side. It's really a community effort that brings it all together.
But, we need more people to step up. There's a group of people that do a lot of work, but we really need a lot more people to step up and support us. A little bit can go a long way, but again, we need that little bit. We need people to step up and help us with some things we want to do this winter and things we want to do in the off season and even throughout the summer and going into the next year. There's, to have a program like we have, it's not all the athletic department. No money from the Board of Education, no tax money from people. The only thing we survive on what we get through the quarterback club, and we survive on what we get at the front gate out here. So we need to do some things. There's things that need to be done, and really encourage people to step forward and help with the Charlton County football program.
All right, Coach. I want to thank you for, I think this is our 5th year with doing the Coach Mack Show, and I look forward to next year. We'll see you back. You want to do one before the All-Star game?
Wouldn't mind at all talking about the All-Star game. That'd be great.
All right, sounds good, Coach. Well, thanks for everything you've done for us, for CSN and everything on that. And we will see y'all right before the All-Star game in February?
February the 14th.
February 4th, Valentine's Day. Oh, you're going to get me in trouble now, Coach. Thank y'all for watching the Coach Mack Show. I want to thank our sponsors all football season long: Okefenokee Rural Electric, Folkestone Auto Supply, Folkestone Pharmacy, Radio Shack, Gant Hardware and Hunting, and both booster clubs, the Quarterback Club and the Charlton County Dugout Club, and Tammy's website. Also, I'm getting a thumbs up on the shirts. I have to. WD 8th Street Barn made these shirts for CSN the last half of the season. Supplies the shirts, so we appreciate that as well. We'll see y'all February 14th. Thanks for watching the Coach Mack Show.